Greetings humans, Zbot1496 here, coming to you from Zogplex with our spoiler-free review of a human rectangular entertainment form, the film Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, recently released in theaters. The summer blockbuster season has officially arrived with this film. It's got large-scale action set pieces, startlingly realistic creature effects, and a healthy dose of suspense, drama, and social commentary, as befits the series. And on that note, we should share some context on how this film fits into its storied history. This new film was widely released in theaters on May 10th, 2024, although the film franchise is based on a 1963 novel, La Planète des Singes, by Bridge on the River Kwai author Pierre Boulle. That book was adapted into the first film, Planet of the Apes, in 1968, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, from a script by Michael Wilson and The Twilight Zone creator Rod Serling, who added the signature ending to the film. Of course, that film starred Ben-Hur and Moses himself, Charlton Heston, who brought his own paradoxical signature style of over-the-top delivery and sincerity to the role. The film had a genuinely original premise, since humans are blissfully unaware of genuine planets of apes, but putting that premise together with thoughtful themes about evolution, social order, and an anti-war message, all with a zany presentation, made for a perfect 1960s cocktail of storytelling, and the film was a hit with genuine cultural impact. That film kicked off 4 rapid-fire sequels of dubious quality from 1970 to 1973, 2 television series from 1974 to 1976, a remake by Tim Burton in 2001, and a reboot trilogy from 2011 to 2017. This new 2024 film takes place in the same continuity as that last trilogy, albeit 300 years after those events. It was directed by Wes Ball, who made the Maze Runner films, and is set to direct the live-action The Legend of Zelda film for Nintendo. And written by Josh Friedman, who has writing credits from Avatar: The Way of Water and Foundation. Kingdom stars Owen Teague as Noah, a chimpanzee coming of age to lead his clan, and Freya Allen as May, a human scavenger who's tracking him for her own reasons. Wonderfully, the trailer for the film doesn't reveal much about the plot itself, but showcases the main characters' motivations alongside their influences and the main antagonist. And so, keeping with our spoiler management approach, we will not delve into the premise of the story. What we will say is that the film continues the franchise's themes of exploring the implications of evolution, of the relevance of understanding history, and the horrors of war. And like the recent trilogy, this new film presents its story with full sincerity. There is none of the camp or the Muppet-like presentation of the apes as there was in the original series of films. For the most part, this is a net improvement for a modern human and galactic audience. Camp does not translate well across time and space. One has to pre-forgive that presentation style to position oneself to enjoy it. This has as much to do with the sensibilities of the audience as it does with what the technology allows today. The apes are very realistic, and the performances by the human actors, along with the talent of the performance capture by the artists who knit those elements together, is at an all-time high in this film. In fact, the characters, a combination of writers, actors, and CGI artists, are more emotive, lifelike, and truly believable in this film than many actual human performances in adjacent films. One drawback to this realism is that it underscores the dourness of the overall message. A great many science fiction films of the current age are set in a post-apocalyptic world. When the original film came out at the height of the Cold War, presenting this type of setting was relatively fresh and timely as a critique of jingoistic nationalism and the risks of getting caught up in tribalism when clubs and sticks are replaced with thermonuclear weapons. Showing a world where humanity is reduced to being a mute secondary species was dramatic, and it challenged not only national self-image, but also racial self-image and gender self-image, all while under the guise of a goofy rubber ape mask. Today, there is an overwhelming volume of post-apocalyptic messaging in franchise storytelling, from Fallout, which we just reviewed, to The Hunger Games, to Mad Max, to The Matrix, to The Terminator, to The Walking Dead. It very much permeates human storytelling. And after a pandemic and a current climate crisis mixed with tribal nationalism, the message no longer lands with novel illumination, but rather reinforces a growing sense of hopelessness. And yet, the themes continue to have relevance. While the film appears to lay out a similar set of ideas, by the time we work through most of the plot, there's actually something new the film is trying to say. Again, without tipping off the plot itself, there's a specificity to the anti-war message that wasn't there before, and at the same time, highly relevant to the current horrific bloodshed in the world today. And that message is this: it does not matter who owned what originally. What matters is who we are as we treat each other today. Yes, let that sink in. This ostensible science fiction blockbuster is taking on humans' fixations on property and land ownership, and the practice of using it to assert the moral high ground to justify killing for it. Of course, humans are not alone in asserting this justification, but many of them do seem to be unaware of how primitive and self-destructive this is as a way of thinking. Their leaders and media voices have a hard time seeing it in their own thinking. The younger generation protests this thinking, but at the same time, often without the nuance of seeing how today's underdog also shows the signs of the same moral fallacy. These issues are certainly challenging to pass when systemic brutality rises, and yet, this is when clearer voices need to come to the stage. And this film, through the abstraction of a strange hypothetical rebalancing of species in one ecosystem, seems to be trying to make this point. The way the film sets up its characters and factions in this setting, and the way the film ends, suggests we could very well see more films in this arc. If the filmmakers continue to tune the anti-war themes of the original series for today's world, we would welcome seeing them as well. So, let us provide our contextual assessment of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Given the film's generally entertaining, if formulaically presented summer blockbuster thrill ride, brought to life by the teams behind its key characters, and then validated by a sneaky, if perhaps subtle, message about justifying war over grievances, we give the film our high positive rating. And so concludes this human version of our review. If you have feedback on it, please write it in your comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zogplex. You can expect more reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows, and 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular entertainment. So please watch, like, subscribe, and comment so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. Until next time, farewell, humans.